Oh, there is the Leona and the Lilia taken away. Now again, you've got things like the Lucian and the Tristana you need to take care of, as well as the Ashe. So it really depends right here on AL are going to ban the Lucian themselves. So I'm assuming if an Ashe ban comes through, Tristana's going to get locked in right here for AL. They do have the Renekton. They want to play for their top side of the map, as well as the Aurora that's available to them. It just depends on what they value more. And so far, I feel like Shanks on that Tristana has been so pivotal for them. There you go. Different jungler. We asked about it.
Yeah, Zyra for Croco. Zyra, a champion that really has fallen out of favour in the LPL ever since all of the changes came through to the jungle. And we'll see how Croco's going to be able to do on it. But I will say, Croco, pretty good Zyra, generally speaking, has had success on the pick. And FPX, are they really going to go back to this Aurora? It's not worked out for them. Both of their game losses with Zdz on the Aurora. We'll see if that will go up to the top lane. If Kael's been practicing this pick as well. Shenanigans have been afoot
Kindred coach
across this series. Yeah, we'll see if they continue. Looks like Kael will take the Aurora this time.
All right, this is a pretty big telltale that MilkyWay is going to be back on an AD champion, whether it's something like the Lee Sin, the Viego, something like the Zinza, or his infamous Kindred. Now, of course, Kindred is what he's the most proficient on, and he seems to have blind picked it in many times during spring, and what made him so famous among the rookies coming into the LPL. However, Shanks and Croco right here, if that gets locked in, that is a very deadly duo that scales so well into the late game, but as well as team fights, and a duo that controls space really well as well, with how slippery Yone can be, and of course the plants from Zyra.
I think you could even go for something like an Ezreal here, like a priority AD carry. You already know you're
control more space,
but no. Ala wants to take his matchup, wants to control that top lane. We saw a fantastic Kennen game from Ala earlier in the series. In fact, I believe it was both Kennen and Yone in that game. See if it can work for AL again. There's FPX. They want to get Deokdam ahead. They lock that Caitlyn once more.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it right there. However, for AL, a bunch of the bans are pretty straightforward right here. I think you need to get rid of the Braum. I feel that the Braum Caitlyn lane worked wonders for FPX. And of course, when you're playing into a Braum, any other melee champion that walks up to Braum, in terms of all the very prominent supports that we have, like the Rel and the Alistar coming up, will get countered by the Braum. It's a very easy lane into that. However, you also know that MilkyWay's pool is very volatile right now. He's going to be going towards the ADs in the jungle, and you know very well what he plays in the jungle. The Kindred, the Viego, and the Lee Sin.
So does the Viego taken away from him. We'll see if that Kindred is banned as well, and if so, where does MilkyWay go? Because we're sort of on the edge of what has been meta in the LPL. Generally, it's been AP junglers, with a little bit of a splash of Viego occasionally, a little splash of Kindred occasionally. But Braum taken off the board instead to make sure that Life can't completely deny the engagers once again. And there it is, Kindred immediately for MilkyWay.
Life on the line for FPX. They really need the reverse sweep. He made his name known on the champion, permanently blind picking it over in spring and performing some 1v9 incredible performances. And it makes sense when they Kennen, Yone, Zyra, they do so much damage into your backline. Being able to pop down that ultimate to keep Deokdam or yourself alive is going to be of pivotal importance. However, AL are taking a more aggressive approach towards the bot side of the map. We could even be looking at Renata Kalista coming through for that bot lane.
Renata can struggle into double range lanes, so perhaps an angle here for Life to go for something long ranged alongside this Caitlyn. I mean, Lux, Morgana are kind of the classics, right? But plenty of options, and Karma will come on through. So double range on both sides of the bot lane. Pure disengage and range poke for FPX. Pure all in for Hope and Kael. And we'll see if it's Croco or MilkyWay who can influence that lane more.
Oh, this is so exciting. We've got one of the deadliest bot lanes in the likes of Kalista plus Renata. The LPL single-handedly made that bot lane level 2 the deadliest bot lane couple of years back, and FPX are replying with a cold classic, the Caitlyn plus Karma, the ever pressuring pokey lane. So annoying, pinning you under tower. I am so excited to see which one of these lanes snowballs, because the one that does will most likely be taking over the game.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous for FPX. But this composition from them, it does feel good, doesn't it? It does feel like after the first couple of games in this series, they've woken up a little bit. But AL are a team that you expect to be good at pivoting. If there's anything Tabe's good at, it's changing approaches across the course of a series. Anyone's Legend now completely changing the way they approach this bottom lane. And with Zyra's clear speed, you expect them to try and find an advantage. Let's see if anyone's Legend have what it takes to finish this series out. But FPX, it feels like the plot armor is thick. They win game number 3. They lock in the signature MilkyWay Kindred for game number 4. Deokdam back on the Caitlyn once again. And Kael, the flavor of the month of the Aurora. The Phoenix flying in the sky once again. Let's see if they can push us to silver scrapes.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。注意！
Ooh, I love the approach right here by FPX, making sure that Caitlyn, Karma lane have a great start, pressuring up, seeing if you can get an early summon and an early pressure point for FPX. You get Karma and Caitlyn ahead. Kalista is extremely short range, and you did mention that Renata doesn't do pretty well in those pokey lanes as well, so Deokdam and Live have a pretty good chance at pushing in here. You see Live with the Ignite as well. They want to take full control. That gives MilkyWay again an avenue to play through, and he walks through that bot lane. Zdz neutralizing topside with the Ksante, and Deokdam and Live pressuring through the bot side.
Okay, ward cleared by Kael there. Shanks gets an opportunity to get a free hit onto Care, not something you often get in these range matchups. Early on as Yone, I don't think it'll make much difference. We'll see how this bot lane goes. Honestly, it's kind of reminiscent to see a Tabe draft that is, you know, this Kalista Renata lane. This is kind of a classic of the BLG back at MSI in 2023. Can Hope and Kael pilot it to the same efficacy that we saw from that famous roster that Tabe used to be on? We'll have to wait and see. They're against a very tough lane of this. I don't know. Anyone that's played a lot of Caitlyn or a lot of Karma knows just how brutal this lane is to play against. This is just one of the most obnoxious lanes I think that is available. I'd honestly rather play against Karma Ezreal than I would against Karma Caitlyn. Just the damage is obscene.
And of course, it's none other than Deokdam's Caitlyn. You saw what happened last game when he got ahead, absolutely dominated the map. But Croco has different ideas here. He's going to wrap around. They expect the Zyra to full clear and then wrap. If you take Caitlyn's flash early on, she cannot be as oppressive. Let's see if they can.
Flashes need to be good. Oh, Kael goes wide on the handshake, but a root lands onto Life anyway. It's not really enough damage. That handshake needed to hit from Kael. And Croco, it's clever pathing, but it's not going to work out because now MilkyWay is over the other side of the wall. He's waiting for Croco to walk into his path, and he's hunting for the enemy jungler. Flash available, MilkyWay, Kindred, the signature pick, but the shield comes in. Croco saved by his bottom lane.
That was a little bit too overeager by MilkyWay. There's no way you kill right there. Kael and Hope are heading back, and even though there's no heal onto Kael, there's still the shield to try and help. They're keeping Croco pinned down. Croco very cleverly, though, he only has the top side of his jungle left, so right here, MilkyWay cannot steal enough from them. The flash taken away from Caitlyn, both the summoners actually from Deokdam, is going to be huge on how this lane plays out. Very importantly, Caitlyn likes to play super far forward, as Croco gets caught in his jungle right here. I feel like that's a little bit of an overzealous move, flashing forward. There's no way you kill right there with Hope and Kael.
Yeah, great
Pulling
pathing
backwards,
there.
trying to help.
Really good pathing from Croco to get out of vision so that the W can't come through from MilkyWay, so he doesn't get his Q cooldown. Really, really good. Or I guess it was the Mountain Dread maybe he was trying to cast. Either way, denied the cast. MilkyWay goes for the double scuttle before moving into his own jungle there. So MilkyWay gets his first stack as well.
hold up. What is Croco doing? He's not stepped into his top quadrant of the jungle. He's wrapping around again. We talked about the flash on Caitlyn. Croco is giving up his jungle to get Hope and Kael ahead. Deokdam, no flash.
Nobody plays Zyra to farm. What are you talking about? Croco on the full gank. Zyra, is it enough? Because Kael is low, but Deokdam is chunked and will be finished off. There's one. Kael should fall for this one as Hope is chasing a MilkyWay. Is on the way. Croco is going to face check right into them. And MilkyWay is set up for more. Hope will be chased down as well, surely, as Life should be able to get shields for MilkyWay. It's MilkyWay with a double on his signature Kindred. Hope turns it around. The Reaper is hunted instead. Life answers, but it's at least something for AL.
MilkyWay denied the stack right there. He did had Hope as his next stack. And Hope takes that Hope away from him, cashing in on a kill as well. And bot lane dead even. Summoners all down. It's everyone's game. And finally, Croco gets to clear, gets to see the top side of his jungle for the first time in 5 minutes. We highlighted the importance of the bot laners. Kalista, Renata, heavy kill lane. Very, very oppressive. However, you are outranged by a Caitlyn Karma, one of the most oppressive lanes in terms of poke and shoving you underneath your own tower and chipping away your tower and taking it early and then rotating around to take more, as we saw in game number 3. And as you can see, both those junglers, MilkyWay reading the situation, but like, Croco is still level 3. The support is level 4, and your jungler is still level 3. Croco with the wraparound, trying to capitalize on Deokdam summoner spells.
Really nice handshake from Kael there as well. Doesn't quite manage to get the bailout, but Croco, I think this is just a bit of an overchase, to be honest. They should have known MilkyWay was going to path down towards that bottom side again. Hope, I can't believe this damage he gets out.
Oof.
Massive for level 4 with basically no items. That is huge rend damage. Fantastically played by Hope to get an answer and not let MilkyWay snowball too hard. Still 2 stacks early on this Kindred.
Yeah. And Croco has denied the other 2. One was on his Gromp, the other one is on his chickens. He'll be clearing that one out. However, let's have a look at what's happening to all the other lanes. Because it's been pure bot lane action for 6 minutes straight. As Croco will head over the top side. He'll find MilkyWay. Both of them have Smite. Oh, actually, Croco does not have his.
Okay, and he forces MilkyWay over the wall, so there we go. Smite onto that. MilkyWay, no flash available. Ala just takes a freebie. Croco setting that one up for his top laner. And MilkyWay, we've seen it a few times this series, him just really underestimating quite what AL are bringing to the table.
I feel like it's the willingness of Shanks and Ally to drop their lanes to try and facilitate for Croco. I didn't see the same willingness coming in from Zdz or Care. They saw MilkyWay pretty much take the grubs, and it felt like everyone was kind of content with what was going on. But again, this is the stuff that we've been talking about, AL, their willingness to try and drop things on the map to facilitate for Croco, to facilitate for his Lilia earlier on that took the game by storm. Now again, MilkyWay looking towards that bot side. Kael and Hope pinned on the tower, but Croco is there. Of course Croco is there. Everyone is bot lane this game.
Yeah, 3v3 bot lane is the name of the game here. Shanks sidesteps by Care. Doesn't get his angle. Hunting in that mid lane because he's 20 CS down. Needs to do something, and Care wants to continue to stretch that advantage as he'll deny 3 more minions and use those couple of grubs that MilkyWay secured to keep wailing away on these plays. Good advantage in that mid lane for Care so far. The Aurora working a lot better than it has the rest of the series.
This is making me a little bit angry. Where was this Aurora in game number 2? Why in the world was a Renekton mid lane when Care can do this to Shanks when Shanks is on Yone? He was on Yone in game number 2. Care is absolutely bullying the heck out of Shanks right here. And again, that bot lane prio with Deokdam and Life, similarly to game number 3, the previous one we just watched, will allow MilkyWay to go for that early dragon. Oh, Croco!
Flash for double flash in the bottom side. Great reactions from Deokdam and Life. In the meantime, MilkyWay hammering away on this dragon. So it's ultimately a win for FPX there. They get themselves an objective. And I think doing a good job to read what Croco was trying to do. This is the least farm I've ever seen on a Zyra jungle because Croco is literally just the third bot laner.
I was about to say, is anyone farming in this game? Because it feels like the only winner out of that one is MilkyWay. He's got a perma-pressure bot lane that will allow him not only to enter enemy territory, which he has been doing, setting down some vision, but also take objectives for free. He took 2 void grabs towards the top side of the map, and right here what you really need is before the void grabs really spawn on the top side, you want to be able to take that Caitlyn and rotate her around the map. Use the... oh my god.
Oh! Shanks just about gets away with his life. No global ultimate.
He just got to lane.
Wait, yeah. He's got no TP.
He just got to lane.
Yeah, Kael is dominating this mid matchup after what has to be said as some pretty tough games in this series. Shanks picks the Yone. It is not working as an answer to the Aurora.
Meanwhile, top lane pretty stable, how you would expect it. Ale onto the Kennen. He chose this matchup, of course. Bullying Ksante around a little bit. Gain himself a very insignificant for the time being lead. However, if you want to play towards void grabs, you know that FPX is going to be walking into a Kennen. So Zdz's job is shoving this Kennen out of the team fight the same way as he did with Ale's Renata in the previous one. Shanks walking into MilkyWay.
Nicely done here by MilkyWay to punish the enemy mid lane, although nearly loses his life for it. Yeah, Shanks not willing to pull the fate sealed there, but if it hit, if he had pulled the trigger, that would be potentially a dead MilkyWay unless he manages to get his ultimate out in time. Great pressure, though, from Shanks onto the enemy jungler. He's traded half his health, though.
I feel like because of that trade, Deokdam is heading towards the bot side of the map. They are prioritizing taking towers with that Caitlyn. Collector already completed. They do not want to fight again into the Kennen. It is very, very scary to go into Ale when he has flash, when Leandris has been completed for this Kennen. FPX are making the right choices right here, not wanting to fight into this. Instead, they're capitalizing on the fact that Deokdam has his first item, and the hope showing bot, they can actually deprive him of some CS and experience that Deokdam's shoving under tower.
I was going to say, I was nervous that Hope was going to walk to the tower then, and that would not be very good for his health. It has to be said. Dive angle there for FPX as they send MilkyWay to that bottom lane to continue to pressure these towers while Kael continues to pressure in the mid lane, but he's caught, forced to flash away. Croco now trying to get involved in the 1v1, but Kael manages to disengage from the play and move down towards the bottom lane where the rest of his team is in play. Great handshake from Kael, but no one really in range to follow up.
This one was a gentleman's agreement handshake. It was, I'll shove you this way, but nothing's really going to happen. But what has happened on the bot side of the map is that Deokdam has taken down an entire tower with full tower platings. Game 3 repeating itself. Deokdam onto this Caitlyn. So freaking oppressive. And we saw FPX pretty much use him as their artillery in game number 3 to take down every other tower that exists on the map. This time around, they're going to put him towards that mid lane. Only 2 tower platings. And mid lane tower is one of the most important in the map because it pretty much, if it goes down, there's so much darkness around your map that you need to take care of. Croco now looking for that top side.
Feels tense, doesn't it? But FPX, despite a fairly quiet early game, on 2,000 gold up, Kael has been found locked up by the lightning. Gets a bit of damage down, but there we go. Croco finds the hat-trick on the board for the Zyra. This pick that honestly had fallen out of favor, but Croco is making it work in this game. He's keeping AL in this game.
And Ale now gets to hammer that tower as well. Double tower plating going on to this Kennen. 400 gold lead. Leandris completed already, as we mentioned earlier. The Rift Trail is going to be coming up, but I feel like AL do not necessarily have the tools right now to fight it, especially with Kennen ultimate being down. So FPX do have a chance of shoving in that mid lane.
Oh, fate's call. MilkyWay is in the area as Kael flashes for a handshake. They just all in. Onto Deokdam in the roots are there from Croco as well. What a play from anyone's legend. Everyone's legends here in this game.
Kalista, Renata, one of the deadliest lanes. LPL made sure the world knows a couple of splits back. And Hope and Kael play so aggressively, shutting down Deokdam. Now they can walk into river.
Kael gets a double route onto, Croco gets a double route, and Ale is here. Zdz with the flash all out onto Ale, and Shanks sets up for MilkyWay, but the fate sealed gets Shanks into the plane. It's 2 for 1. Hope narrowly dodges the Q3, and Life can't get in time.
But Deokdam is back up and he's heading towards that mid lane, which means they cannot start the dragon yet. No major objective being taken down, but this mid lane will get completely unguarded. There's no HP bars from AL to guard this one, so Deokdam will definitely be chipping this one down. The TP coming through from Shanks to defend it.
Oh, he lands on a trap. It's beautiful from Deokdam, but Shanks will flash to safety. This is the series we wanted. This is more like it, FPX.
We said it. There's 2 things you cannot do in front of a Caitlyn. TP and Zhonya's. And Shanks TPs onto this tower. Hope and Kael flashing forward with the Renata ult as well. Sorry, with the Kalista ult to pin down Deokdam. And MilkyWay was like a millisecond too late with his ultimate to try and save his AD carry. Double pick right there from the AL bot lane, and that was a very great 2v2. However, Zdz right here gets so clutch on this champion. We've mentioned how he's been so proficient in showing down the LPL. The flash ult to take Kennen out of this fight. Absolutely beautiful.
I mean, the difference between Zdz on Aurora versus Zdz on Ksante.
Just give him Ksante, man.
Day, isn't it? we saw him getting the kill onto Allah's Renekton in the previous game as well. Zdz just knows how to take over a game on Ksante, doesn't he? And honestly, I don't know why FPX was so into the Aurora at the start of this series, at least for the top lane, trying to make these weird things happen. Because now that they're playing Ksante top, it all feels so much better.
And the map is pretty much dead even. You see Allah with that Kennen. He has the Void Grubs buff as well. They did manage to get 4 from the side of AL. He's chipping down the towers. Both bot lane and top lane don't have any towers left standing for AL. And the first tower falling for FPX as well down the bot lane due to Ali that we mentioned. And right now, this is a very even game. Very, very even game. And you are playing from the side of AL. A very short range, an all-in, but a very short range composition. If FPX can survive the first engage using that Kindred ult and utilizing the second life it gives you, we could potentially be looking at FPX having a pretty good time in those fights.
4 stacks for MilkyWay as well, worth keeping our eyes on that. But he's really not been the main character of this one. It's all been about Deokdam getting the damage down. Zdz on that Ksante, a fantastic little play there. But AL, it does feel like the last couple of minutes have been in their favor. They were 2,000 gold down, it's even now. And they are stood on a ward. As FPX try and move into the jungle, it's spotted by Shanks as the ward comes on in.
Great vision control right here from FPX. I feel like it's exactly what they need with the composition they have to try and set down for the Caitlyn. And especially when you're playing with 4 squishes on this side of the map, as Zdz on the Ksante, it's all the way down bot lane, you really need that vision control to make sure you don't get jumped on. There is so much engage potential coming in from AL and so many flank potential as well with the Kennen that you've got to cover all your angles.
That ward has got so much value. Croco flashes to safety and he just turns it around onto MilkyWay. Knockup is there. The shield doing a lot from life as MilkyWay does get out with his life. Is this all just a really intelligent bait from AL? Did they know? I mean, they surely knew the ward was there because MilkyWay used his W and it propped onto Kael. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe the W just goes into her brushes. I don't think so, though.
That is a pretty advantageous trade, though, for FPX right here. Oh,
knock up into fate sealed and Shanks nearly one-shots Care. The root slam from Croco as well. Shanks tries to get onto this tower. They just want to finish the tower. They don't even care about the kills. Finish the tower they will. Now gold lead wrestled in favor of AL. It's just like those 2 games from the regular season where FPX start strong, win the bot lane, but can't finish it out.
yeah, and right here, Deokdam, even though he's been doing a lot of work, only 300 gold in the lead. As a reminder, in game number 3, he was 2,000 gold up, almost 20 minutes into the game. He was absolutely dominating. Right here, he does have the items, but they don't necessarily have that full control that they did with the Caitlyn in game number 3. Every single tier 1 tower is down for AL, so they can try and utilize that fog of war for themselves. Although MilkyWay, he's walking straight into that fog of war. Oh no.
He's walking towards
The
them,
waiting.
and there we go, the roots come on through. Lamb's respite in time. It keeps MilkyWay alive for the time being, but the hostile takeover keeps him in the play. He's flashed, but straight into the open arms of Allah. Shanks has gone down in the meantime, but so has Zdz, and it's AL making a brush play this time.
Beautiful play right there, dodging vision from FPX to try and catch out MilkyWay. Not only do they take his life, his ultimate, but also very valuably, his flash. Life and Deokdam try their hardest to try and pressure out some waves, but AL seem to have an easier time just brute forcing into the jungle of FPX. And I'm getting a little bit worried because, again, when you're playing the Caitlyn, you need to be the first one at the objective to be able to set up with your traps, use the poke as people walk through the ramp. If AL can so easily walk into your jungle due to lack of vision, you see Life just now clears out the vision, but it's a little too late. AL utilizing that window of opportunity so well to get that pick.
Shanks, unfortunately, zips back to 3 people, so it is 1 kill for FPX, but that's all they get on the back of the play. Fantastic little picks from AL, and it's these little plays that are separating the 2 teams. 10-5, AL with a 1,000 gold lead, and I have to say, Croco is having a magnificent game. I'm amazed Hope is even relevant in this game, but his scoreline is actually very positive down in CS, but considering the pressure that has been put towards his bottom side from FPX, it's miraculous he's even in the game. Drake started by AL, as the Herald comes down the mid lane. Ala's going to try and defend that one. FPX, bit of a split decision here.
That's a little bit of a fake play. They're trying to utilize the fact they have the Herald to put pressure into that mid lane, but there's no real pressure. It's just a bonk, so there's no tower that's been lost for AL. I feel like this play is a little bit too old to be continued. I feel like if you're going to give up a dragon, play for a side lane. Get Zdz or Deokdam on the top side of the map, utilize that Rift Herald to threaten an inhibitor potentially. You take that tier 2 of the bot lane or the top lane. Well, most likely the top lane because it's further away from the dragon play, right? And maybe you can try and force TPs. But just pushing it straight down that mid lane is just very defendable from AL. They get away with the dragon and they save the tower.
Care. Gets a good little trade onto Croco there, dodges away from the root. But AL posturing around this Baron. I mean, it's Zyra, remember? Zyra's kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit, but she's damn good at rushing down a Baron. So's Kalista too. Kalista, this is an on-hit Kalista. This ain't any of that lethality nonsense that we saw earlier in the year. This is real Kalista that absolutely shreds a Baron.
The real deal.
Yeah. Resets though from AL. They won't actually commit to a Baron play right now, or will they? Pings and Croco is stood in the pit. He's waiting for his team to come. They're going to rush this.
It's been pinged, actually. There's 4 plants right there, 5 plants, and you can commit your ultimate. But reminder, if you do commit your ultimate, then you do not have a way to peel back. So let's see if Croco's going to commit the ultimate right here to try and take the Baron down. He doesn't need to. He's got 20 carries with him.
He didn't use the ultimate. MilkyWay denied entry by Allah, who just evaporates the health bars, gets a bit of a heal. There's Baron, but can they escape with their lives? Croco gets the bailout, and now the flank comes on through. Kennen tries to save the day, but Shanks actually sacrificed himself to make the kill happen. 3 remain for AL. They got the Baron. Can they get out? Life is trying to hold them in play, and Deokdam gets a flank with a Hex Gate. Croco so low as Kael dodges away from the Q. MilkyWay still in the scene as well as he goes for a flank, and Deokdam flashes into all 3 of them, but he loses his own life for the challenge. Croco down. Life is in a 1v2 at this point as Hope flashes towards him, gets a shield, and gets out with his life.
No way.
MilkyWay in a 1v1 with Kael. There's no way Kael can take on the Kindred. Every Baron buff gone.
FPX clear the map. AL pull the trigger on a Baron to force FPX to fight them, but they take too much damage in the process, and FPX just clear them. Now that mid lane tower is going to fall, and Kael might be in trouble here. Shanks and Allah, well, looking towards him, but he does have his flash available, so Kael will be safe for now. Magnificent play from FPX to play around the poke, use the Hex Gates as well to wrap around.
Imagine if FPX were playing like this in the first 2 games. This would be a
Can we
very
just reset
different
the timer?
series, wouldn't it? I mean, it's a great start for AL to try and deny entry from the enemy jungler.
Yes and no. Allah is basically sacrificing his life for this Baron. And AL do a great job right here, but the wraparound comes through and Shanks dives too much forward, losing his life. And we're going live because there's more fighting.
Oh my god, it's already kicked off again and Kael's gone. Life chunked out as well as Croco hunts for a little bit more. Don't know if he'll be able to find it with the slow coming on through, but Hope is trying to chase. AL, they've found something. Maybe they can turn it into something in the mid lane as well. One pick onto Care, is it enough?
There's only 3 members of FPX in that mid lane. Shanks with a threatening flank on the top side of the map.
Yeah.
Second mid lane tower is going to be going to the side of AL. Losing Care right there actually really does hurt, and Zdz was not posing much of a threat on the bot side of the map after shoving in that wave. Now AL have their sights on the top side of the map. I think MilkyWay was also spotted towards the bot side, so they know they still have numbers advantage as Care doesn't have TP. He's gonna come back to life right now, but that's 2 very quick towers for AL.
And AL balloon that gold lead in their favor. It's 3,500 with Drake coming up in 40 seconds. And I want to remind everyone of the stakes of this game as well, because this could be the end of the run towards Worlds for either team. So this is, I guess, the start of the play. It's Zdz and Ala. Was Zdz killing? I didn't even see that on the scoreboard.
Oh.
Zdz finds yet another solo kill onto Ala. Zdz, so long as he's not on Aurora, is absolutely running Ala today.
Ala getting locked into the ultimate right here from Care, but that's the ultimate down for Care in 10 seconds. For the next dragon, that ultimate is going to be huge being down. Let's see if Ale right here can find a flank onto this Kennen. Care taking a lot of poke.
Croco tanks up the ace in the hole here, and AL just start this Drake off. FPX have to try and move in. MilkyWay wasn't even here, he was showing on the mid wave. That's why AL are trying to just rush the dragon down, and rush it they will. Stranglethorns come on through, FPX. I mean, I'm surprised AL was still posturing for a fight there, but FPX, they've got a wave down mid lane, so they'll be able to get a tier 2 in trade.
Great stuff right there from AL, taking that dragon. However, as you mentioned, they're going to lose their tier 2 in the process, but now seeing 2 members of AL staying on the map, what stops FPX from just taking straight up their inhibitors? This is a 3 versus 5. If they kill them here, they could even end the game.
AL are playing with fire by making this trade. It's going to be a tier 2 for Ala and Shanks as Croco goes through a Hex Gate as well. Doesn't push for more, just trying to stop any recalls to try and get these solo laners and inhibitor potentially. There's TP from Zdz, but the handshake should be able to come in and cancel that one. And Zdz jumped out. FPX still grouped as 5. No inhib taken though by the AL solo laners. They'll crash a massive wave, but that's all they'll get. FPX, I mean, a great snap decision on that mid lane.
Yeah, and that was very scary as well,
minions?
right? Because
the Winions? Oh my god, one more auto! It's gone down! They actually get the inhib tower!
that got very scary towards the end, especially when Kael got the handshake onto Zdz and cancelled the teleport, because Ala and Shanks both dipped into Fog of War. And you're moving us forward potentially into a Kennen Yone combo. So that was very scary for FPX, had to walk straight into their base. And now again, it's a fight for vision. 50 seconds until the next Baron, and Croco already has his position ready and waiting for anyone to walk in. MilkyWay does have ultimate and flash, so maybe he could try for a face check right here. Zdz teasing the gate.
The core on the Stranglethorns. It's a triple knock-up and follow-up there as the Lamb's Respite saves their lives. Zdz looking for more, but the hostile takeover means nobody can come and join in. Shanks in a 1v4 on the top side of the player. Zdz escapes with his life, and AL try and save their mid laner, but Care's gone too far forward, takes a bad trade. Nobody dies
still
somehow. There. Like you say, Zdz in enemy territory. He escapes to the other side of the map.
He was teasing the gate from the base to try and bait AL. Now AL are on the hunt. I'm pretty sure he'll be able to walk through mid over to the bot side of the map. Doesn't have his teleport available, so let's see if AL will try to pull anything else. Oh, they're diving in again. They're looking.
They're spotted on a ward. I don't think they can find anything more. And importantly, AL ultimately, after all of that, AL do maintain control of the Baron area. FPX have to face check in here. They have to try and find their way in, but it's already being rushed. AL, they just pulled the trigger on the Baron again. Croco is waiting over the wall, wants to find himself a combo. Stranglethorns is almost back off the cooldown to Zdz. Tanks so much damage, doesn't have his ultimate, the shield at the last second, but Croco in from the side, throws some plants!
Oh!
And Deokdam does it again! Another one shot in the late game from this Caitlyn.
Kael walks into the trap. Deokdam absolutely one-shotting him right there. And now AL have to deal with two things. The Baron being started potentially by FPX and their base going down. There's double super minions in the mid lane. There's still TP from Ale. Let's see what FPX choose to do here. They need to pull that TP or pressure the base.
Croco's over the wall, has flash, has smite. FPX 5-man strong. It's a 2v5 on the map right now as Shanks is trying to toy with them, trying to distract them. Croco's on a ward though. He's spotted by Zdz. Plants in the pit. Zdz is getting pretty chunked by the Baron at this point. FPX have had to back away because of the flank from Ala as well. And Baron half resets 7k, and in goes Ala to save the day. 1-for-1, but the Milkman is down. Ala hates yogurt confirmed as Hope dives in onto Deokdam, and Croco finishes him off. AL are done with FPX's miracle run. They don't believe in miracles. They believe in the wandering Ronin. They believe in their own story as they march one step closer to Worlds.
Incredible aggression from Kael and Hope, flashing forward both of them for the winning team fight, for the winning handshake, and AL show that it was just a fluke. They're back.
The Wandering Ronin, 2 from LCK, 2 from WE, 1 from EDG, but they come together to form this team alongside Tabe, and AL keep their dreams alive. They make it into the 3rd round of the LPL playoffs.
What incredible resilience. We looked at the bot lane at the beginning of game number 4, playing Kalista Renata into double poke. Hope and Kael were stuck under tower for majority of this game and made such decisive plays, diving forward into the jaws of a shark and beating the shark down. The Phoenix will not be reborn, and all the MilkyWay faithfuls that wanted to see him in Worlds, wanted to see him versus the best of the best will have to wait for at least 1 more year as FPX's road ends here.
Tough to see for MilkyWay. The end of his rookie year. I think a lot of people expected him at internationals, but it's not meant to happen, unfortunately, here in 2024. We'll see him again in 2025. But for now, anyone's legend. What a start to playoffs. 3-1, relatively convincing, although the last 2 games a little dicier from them.